There are fearless filmmakers, and then there's Syrian documentarian Firas Fayyad. The director spent over a year in the besieged Syrian city of Aleppo to tell the story of the White Helmets, a group of civilian volunteers who were first respondents to incessant bombings by the Russian-backed Assad regime, risking their lives to pull the injured and dead from the rubble. His award-winning film, Last Men in Aleppo, is a moving examination of the human cost of violent conflict, giving a face to the plight of the Syrian people. The documentary mainly follows two members of the White Helmets, Khaled and Mahmoud, and the day-to-day risks of staying in Aleppo. Where others have fled, they feel a responsibility to stay and help their city, though the desire to run is never far away. Coming Attractions spoke to Firas about his film Last Men in Aleppo, which took out the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance this year.
Look, first of all, thanks for taking the time to have a chat with us. The first question I would ask is, when did pre-production start on this film?
2013. The pre-production and research and the idea, it's a start from 2013 when I start meet the some people who's volunteer to run to the places of the bomb and rescue the victim of who was stuck under the rubbles. And in that time, in end of 2012, beginning of 2013, was the Syrian regime start to use the heavy bomb over the civilians area, and I met a guy called Ra'id Saleh, who is a leader now. It's leader of the White Helmets, who just he was living with his family on the Syrian-Turkish border, was trying to collect all this with some other colleague to collect themselves to respond on this is heavy bomb, which is running to the places and trying to rescue all the civilians. And they don't have any names. They just call themselves the people. They start to call them the civil defense, and they don't have a one color classes, United classes or helmet. They don't have anything. They just have their normal classes, and they are from the area, the same area. The people, they just respond on the bomb on their area. So later than couple of months, more than least than year, almost year, they start to have to get some fund, and they start to organize more themselves to get their fund. This is not money fund, it's clothes, Eid, that's clothes, helmets and shoes, gloves, some ambulance, cars to move. The first it was cars. And I just remember that one of the scene that I was trying to shoot it in 2013. There is a pump happen let's say couple of blocks, 5 blocks far from the area that we've been, and it was we sleeping in the church, one of the church, because the civil defense one in the church. So we just this is volunteer who want to run to the places, was Ra'id Saleh between them, and there was with my cinematographer, other cinematographer was want to shoot this, and we said this is the moment that we're gonna shoot something important with this guys, and they didn't find any car. They didn't find anything to talk them to the place of the bombing, and they took the motorcycle, and we couldn't go to the place of the bombing, and just because they don't have any other, they two guys just go to the place, and they're waiting to something, and they call them, you should not come because we lose the people, they almost dead, because the area that they didn't find any in the motorcycle, didn't find that, and they to get motorcycle, it was not easy, and was this is one of this obstacle that I was in front of that, and was start, this is the questions, what's make this is people to give all their energy, their souls, their times for like and also like they lost their souls like in to rescue other souls, and they left behind them families. And that was my question, and I feel like this is a picture could be like important at point of start, and like for the films to follow and understand the human situation and the victim of the war, and how much war is bigger than we can imagination. Not just international war between bigger countries, is not just like normal subject that media interesting in that. This is like ISIS or like refugees, something more deeper than that, about about how much this is people they try like to create the hope through like rescue the other souls, because they feel like that they this is the thing that make them stay and make the other people they stay. They try like to convince the people to not leave when they save and rescue their children and their family, and the people they start to trust in them, and they felt like, yes, we can trust to stay in this country because there's a people that we can trust rescue our children if there is something that some of the hope coming from the blackness or Machiavellian situation around them.
So I suppose in a lot of ways, you had set out to put together a film that wasn't relying on people receiving titles or anything like that. It was about the humanity of everybody that was involved inside of the conflict. It was about not painting everybody with one brush, as it were.
Yes, let's say my idea in this film was about the human situation, about the inner conflict inside these people. It's like cinematic idea. It's like more thinking about the human being in Machiavellian situation. How how this is like if we put a people in this situation, what they gonna choose? They gonna choose the badness or the goodness? What the good and the bad? It's like almost about understand who we are in this situation, and also it's my desire to understand how this Syrian they fight for their land in on their cities and their neighborhood in without using this is like the traditional way, the weapons and other ways, just like they run and rescue the other. But my question more about my what I'm trying to understand with that, I was ignoring all this political situation and don't care about it because it's just like this is more interesting for the international media, and then more interesting for the other. It's not my subject, and this is not my feeling, and this is not my films. My films about a father, how he can take care about his son or daughters. This was like, this is my question. And how is like, if you are a brother, if you are a friend, how you can rescue. This is the human relation, fatherhood, brotherhood, and friendship. The meaning of this is values in the mid of all of this is Machiavellian situation. And I was like trying, the camera was like my weapon to digging more deep about this is conflict inside. And what I find that the limited choices in front of this is people. In that time, all the media focusing on refugees, ISIS, Al Qaeda, Russian American conflict, aliens bomb, and the borders and refugees run. All of this is things, but there is no camera try like to be close from the people wishes, which is like, I'm gonna stay in my country. This is my city. This is my neighborhood. I'm gonna do anything to stay, because there is no place can I feel like welcomed than more than place. Even, and I need to show that even you place you first to leave it, even you are not agree about to leave it, which is like it's against the international laws. It's called like the forced displacement for the people, and that's what my camera show, the human situation. Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned that you thought of your camera as your weapon. Did the camera actually make you something of a target? Did you find that having the camera meant people were more inclined to go after you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not easy like to handle camera in mid of in cities and in country that full of the war, different gangs, different function, and there is no freedom of speech, there is no freedom of expression, and I was arrested before for this reason. I was like, I do films before about the freedom of speech, and arrested 2 times, and almost I was like close to lose my life because I just like decide to make a film after my finish my film school. And as a normal, as any filmmaker that he back to his country, if he study in other country and back to his country, the first thing he was thinking he gonna make something about the issues that could be more could he do something or do some change. I do like about the freedom of speech because there is no freedom of speech in Syria. And then I just get arrested the first time, and the second time, the first time was 3 months, the second time 8 months. I was witnesses about all this is crime that happened in the Assad prisons, and couldn't do anything in that. And just in that step, when I've been like using my camera in the same situation, not easy like to use the camera in Syria. It's something like threat you in every time, and I cannot follow you, the threat cannot follow you all the time because because it's like something for all the people who want to hide the truth. It's like showing the crime. You just like put your but just like get your focus on the crime, and like like uh, um, like let's say like put this slide and discover this crime and make the crime public for the world and get more attention for that. And then you just decide like put your finger on the crime, the killer. That's the killer, and this is the victim, and you show the truth. And then you turn it to be the enemy for different parties, countries, not just parties. You'd be like that, just like the Russian, they called you like you are our enemy. This is not. And my role, I just not interesting in Russian. Just my role was like just telling this story about the father and about about the brother, about the people who like try to stay, fight for for the meaning of staying.
Just wanted to know what sort of crew did you have on the ground with you in Syria? Was it
Yeah.
just one camera or 2 cameras or?
Yeah. So the film, I should explain how the film should. The film starts like in 2013 and end shooting in end of 2016. In 2015 till 2016, I couldn't enter Aleppo to continue shooting, and then I was doing that my cinematographer in Aleppo, and from 2013 till beginning of 2015, I was shooting with my different cinematographer, different cinematographer, and by myself. In 2014, I collaborate with a group of citizen journalists and video journalist, cinematographer called Aleppo Media Center, which is known. They work for international media. They have already have background about using the camera, and they have some of them they study this career. Some of them like they have good experience with working in the conflict zone, and was like make the thing easier. I was like have four cameraman in some situation, and some situation like more 6 cameraman. But the main cinematographer there was like two. 3 cinematographer, and I have also assistant director, which is like was very close when I been couldn't like enter Aleppo. He was like handle with me the line that I should like follow the storylines that I'm interesting to follow with the character. It's not easy like to direct from distance, and I try like in August to enter Aleppo. I get the chance to enter Syria, and then I couldn't get the chance to enter Aleppo, and I stand like just a couple of miles from this city, and I saw like the smoke like going to the sky. I saw like completely my city burning in front of me, and I couldn't do anything. And I know my friend, which is my cinematographer, they are stuck there, and also some relative, they are stuck there. And just imagination that in this is your in this situation that you couldn't do anything, and you couldn't meet your character, you couldn't meet your character who turning to be your friend, your cinematographer who is your friend, your relative, your city. You couldn't do anything. Just like watching your city, you are there, but you couldn't manage to be inside. Yeah, so they take this as responsibility, and they continue because they decide to stay there inside. And I met like two of my character that who was like managed to get out of the city, and I talk to them, and I talked to them, and they told me about the situation inside the city was like completely destroyed. They are from inside they are completely destroyed. Yeah, so it was like this is the way of shooting the movie, almost like mini stage, many levels of through like all these years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Firas, in relation to what you've mentioned there, do you think those experiences affected the way in which the camaraderie comes across inside of the film? It seems like there's a really rich amount of people supporting one another because of the dire situation that is there. Do you think your own experiences that you've just mentioned there had any effect on how you shaped those elements inside of the film?
No, actually, it's more. I mean, it's the whole the process of making any documentaries or fiction. You turning to be like a friend with your crew. This is friendship. The friendship is growing with that. This is the only way like you can how you can deal with that. Otherwise, you couldn't get the full access for the personal life of your character. And this is the only way, the human being way that you can use it, like be to film and to follow your character, to make your character comfortable. Otherwise, you can't be like this is journalist who is like follow 1, 2, 3, 4. You have not to be in friendship with your character. You have not to do this, and you have to not do this. You have to do this. Important things is like how you can just like to make your character comfortable, to not feel in your camera, and you feel like almost the camera observe them. And because I choose the style that is, which is called in academic way cinéma, or observing the camera just observing the character without using the voiceover or interview, because I need like to use their voices and their conversation, the normal conversation, and then the daily things, and through that I need to discover how the story could be told, because this is more important and more close for the life. And of course, I mean, your relation and make the character like comfortable with you and trusting you, that make them like to do everything that in front of you in an easy way, without like trying to hide their daily life. So that I capture them like dancing, I capture them like asleep, almost like capture them like in many different beautiful situations that you couldn't do it without this is a trust. Especially this my subject is very special subject and dangerous subject, and about the life of these people who is like get a threat from the Russian, and they have they all the time they hide their location, because the Russian they gonna bomb their location, and not easy to get that. This is information, it gonna threat their life, gonna put them in danger, gonna kill them, like, because if the Russian get the information, or the Syrian regime get the information where the location of the white helmet, they're gonna bomb them, because they because for the Syrian regime, like this is for them, it's like this is enemy for them. So it's not easy. You have to be very careful, and at the same time you have to be very honest. In the same times you have to have a big heart, like to keep their secret. and to know how you can tell your story.
Firas, obviously, Khaled had been in a video that went viral on the internet where he's saving a baby from some rubble. We're interested to know how you found Mahmoud and what made you sort of choose to focus a lot on him in the story.
Yeah, actually, Mahmoud in somehow reflect a lot of young people who's not married, who's like dream to have a girlfriend, who's like who was study, or who have like his life like more deep than the more like blackness, like because all his future is destroyed in front of him. Like he's just like Mahmoud was like a guy who was like in the university study like the philosophy, and then he stopped study the philosophy because the revolution in Syria start, and then turning to be civil war, and then he find himself like to be volunteer in the white helmets. So that I saw like Mahmoud, the relation between Mahmoud and his brother, like explain a lot of really the meaning of the brotherhood, which is like this is most important. And also Mahmoud was like represent all these young people who was grow up in the war, grow up almost in this 6 year. Like he was like was 23 or 24, and he grew up with his brother, which is his brother 24, and he's like 29 now. So it's like almost he grew up in the war. That was, it's like that was make me like feel Mahmoud is continue for character of Khalid, and you Mahmoud is like attach a lot of people. Actually, when every time that I screen this movie, almost the people that they like the young people, they come out like with a lot of touching from Mahmoud because represent their depression from the life. They're losing their hope around them, and they just the only thing that they make them they catch the life, their brothers, their relation with their family, which is represent with their and team, the very close person that our brother, like this is a family things very important in our human being relation. And that was also my desire to discover that, because I have a brother, and my relation with my brother like was very emotional, because I was scared about him. He's stuck in Syria and I'm outside of Syria almost, and I know how much like meaning like if you lose your brother in somehow, and you couldn't do anything, and it's very difficult situation. It's almost Shakespearean situation. You can explain it in this way about the relation and the meaning of the relation and strongest of relation, and the meaning of that you have to continue, you have to do something in your life for the for your family, and this is that. And because also the film is about the family, and it was like I need to make a story about the small family, the meaning of this is a small family that you make you protect yourself and keep alive in the mid of Machiavellian situation, because nothing around you make you continue the life, saving the children, death around you, everything around you, the death, and then you find like your meaning of the life in your relation with your family. And that I saw it in Mahmoud, and I saw it in Khalid, and I saw it like also with Subhi, with his relation with Mahmoud many times, and the friendship, the meaning of friendship, the friend, the brothers, the fathers, like that. Yeah.
I'd like to ask a little bit about what the climate was with armed personnel at the time. I don't recall inside of the film seeing any ground forces with guns and things like that. Was that a conscious decision?
About these people, it's not about the people who's carrying the weapons. And there is a thousand of film, and this is my anger from a lot of films that just like focusing about people taking weapons and fighting each other. And there's a lot of people, if they interesting in the fighting and weapons, and this is journalistic subject, they can go to other movies. This is movies about the decision of staying, with decision to be a human being, with using your hand, with using the simple things that to make you continue your life. and I didn't avoid like the weapons or function around that, and not easy to film the function, but also it's not my story in this film. I make a film before that about the function, just all the film about the function. You couldn't see any signs of the life in the film. Just you see like function kid fight each other, and they have different goals and all of that. This is film. It's about discovering the meaning of staying in your country and doing everything as a normal person who's living in this Machiavellian situation. You don't have any choices, just to rescue the other, saving the other, to solidarity with the other, to build your relation with the other, to continue with the state, because this is the only way that make you to stay in this country. And I didn't see like there's something could help me to tell the story if I like put the camera and showing the weapon like around, and somebody fight each other. I feel it like a porno scene, more like to show off something, like I have action in my film, and I don't need it. And I saw it like it's very. It's not the film. It's something. It's just like I saw it like from my perspective. All the time, like when I started this career, all the time I saw that using the weapon, it's like signs of porno than more like signs of making the life. And this is my looking to the how that we can tell the story. It's just like that. I feel it like an easy way. If you want to make a film, get a lot of people, just put your camera and shoot like some people have a weapons or making gangs, and easy way. It's really easy way, not easy like to film, but easy way like to tell the story, and you to find like a good action scene to get the people like exciting. I don't want to make the people exciting. I need to people feel how much this is losing, heartbreaking for our life, how much this is destroyed the life of this is people, how much like threat their life every time that Khalid he saved a life of his children. He saw the death of his daughter. Every time that Mahmoud he rescued two brothers or three brothers together, he saw like his death with the death his brother. It's reflection what the kind of the life this is people their life, not just Mahmoud or Khalid. 1,000,000,000 of the Syrian, they have the same life. Every death happen in front of them. Every crime that happen in front of them, if reflect the meaning of the death, for the threat for their life. They saw their death in front of them. It's hard. It's hard that every time like you have this is not a dream, reality in front of you, that you saw like you was working in the street, and then your friend it's like killed in the bomb, and you are saved, you are survived. You saw like your death in your eyes in just in moment, and you think that your life is gonna you will be killed in next moment and next moment. This is film about that, how you can survive, how you can create your survive.
The guys seem to have acceptance as well from the outset. They sort of say, I'm here until I die," and they all seem to accept that they probably will die. They seem to, almost embrace that notion. Did you ever sort of start to think the same way, that maybe you weren't going to come out of this one alive?
As a Syrian or as a filmmaker?
I guess both.
Yeah. Okay, actually, you're right. I can't separate these things from each other. Yeah. So yeah, many times like when I first to leave Syria, it was not easy. Because it's not my decision. Because I decided like to tell the story from inside Syria, and it was like more important and more. This is what I should tell now. I mean, I care about all this is international. I mean, all this is like the global problem that happen around us, like the warm global, the climate change, environment, all of this. But for me, I saw like now how you can find the human in Syria, what the meaning of that to be human, and this in the middle of the situation. When I saw like that, it was hard like to leave. And I find myself, of course, in this situation. And it was like, I don't have other choices. I'm gonna arrested again and I killed in the prison, or I'm gonna killed with in the silence gun in the street, and nobody know who killed me, and they will put this crime in the shoulder of anyone, and just the only one who will know who killed me, which is I will be killed, and nobody will know about the crime, and I will be forgotten. But the only way that to survive that, to making the movie, to tell all the criminal that I'm alive and I have a voice. I'm gonna use this voice to help the voice of the people who in same situation, and every frame that I shoot in this movie, it's remind us like in the crime, and it's also like it's kind of scream in the freedom, scream in the justice, scream in freedom of expression, and it's like also scream. It's like writing for the history to remind all this is criminal that I saw you, I record you, even you couldn't catch me and you couldn't kill me, but I'm alive. I'm gonna keep like to do that, and this is the result that happened from last in Aleppo. I survived with the film, with this film, with the other films that I do, and that will coming also. That for sure, just it's turning for me. It's turning. It's like turning my responsibility. Before, when I finished my film school, I was like, as any filmmaker, you want to pick up a good story, tell a beautiful cinema and beautiful stories about Shakespearean or Chekhov's or like that. Just like a good story you can tell, make the people enjoy. A lot of people watching your movie in the theater get a lot of winning and a lot of interest, doing something, changing the for your world. But it's changed when I arrested. When I arrested, get out from the prison, and it's so like in front of me. My rules now, it's responsible rules, because a lot of voices, they just call me in my ears and in my head. You have to tell what's going on, what you saw. You are responsible, and I want to share my responsibility with everyone in this film. Everyone watch this movie, his witnesses on this crime, and they have now kind of responsibility. People, when they get out from when they watch the movie, they feel that they're responsible. They want to do something, and that's make me continue. That make me like think that if I survived and I try like to find out how we can make the movie and keep it alive. That can make sense more than to put myself and kill myself, and then I'm not gonna show everyone what I saw.
How difficult is it inside of a conflict zone like what's transpiring in Aleppo? How difficult is it to stay in director mode? How do you manage to stay focused on the fact that you are making a film when so much is happening around you?
Yeah, this is a good question. Actually, when you be in this situation, you will not be director. You will be human risk, like a volunteer, like a white helmet. You will throw your camera and run to help who need your help, because your help will make sense. It's not just me, because it's my country and my city, but also any international filmmakers, like I mean foreigner filmmaker or filmmaker coming. It's not nice word, foreigner filmmaker, because it's used now as like in any filmmaker from coming to Syria who is from different nationality who want to do films, and he find himself in these roles. He throw his camera and turning to be like a human being to rescue the life of the other. And this is my rules. When I saw like my helping gonna make sense, I'm gonna throw my camera and I'm gonna turn it to be forget myself as a filmmaker and thinking about myself as a human being. I'm not machine. In the end, to do like a job and end this job and get my salaries and go to sleep. It's about I will remember what I have done more that I will remember about how much I win in this film. It's more about every frame that remind me how much I was like I do something real, something not just about shooting this frame, also behind this frame, all the story that happened behind this frame. That my rule, and also I think this is the rule will be the rule for every journalist or for every filmmaker. I'm not a journalist, but I mean for every filmmaker or journalist who's coming to Syria to do something to tell the story. And a lot of this is filmmaker who's coming from different countries who lose his life because he want to tell the truth. He want to discover the truth. His desire like push him to follow this is truth, and then he killed because he's ruled as a human being. Because in some how he's arrested, he arrested in sometimes like when he was helping the people. He was through his camera and helping the people. He killed or arrested or kidnapped or killed or somehow a lot of them. And this is film also remind for remind and for their memories also, like just like to remember their role is this is Machiavellian war in Syria.
Firas, could you talk a little bit about, in terms of deciding what to show on camera in terms of actual death and bloodshed? I mean, there's some things shown on camera and other things that happen off camera. Could you talk a bit about, the decisions behind deciding what to show?
Actually, this is the Syrian story. This is film. This is story. It's easy and not easy. What's easy? When you find like Khalid and Mahmoud, you will shoot a lot of interesting things, a lot of interesting sequence, a lot of interesting stories that he gonna like help you to tell this story. So this is the level. It's very level when you shoot these things, because your character drove you for discover a lot of things they do. Like one of this is time that Khalid he decide like to go to buy a fish. It was like surprised for us. His drive he make us like with this scene like buying the fish, that he show us like there is a lot of people in this city still care and they want like to buy a fish and put this fish in their houses and get food for this fish because they're enjoying and watching the fish. That show you the sense of the life, the sense of the staying. There are people that in this city decide to stay, and there is a lot of fish, and this man he like get money from this fish. He sell and buy the fish. That's not just of Khalid. And I captured this is his conversation when he said, "Oh man, there is any other people, the crazy people like me, they buy a fish." He said a lot of people. That means that a lot of people they want to stay. Not just Khalid. Khalid is one of 1,000 of these people. He's not the lowly crazy one. What he do the normal. What that happened in this city, in that moment, he do normal things. But we saw it like it's a crazy and a magic scene, because even the Syrian who was like forced to leave their country and their city, they didn't imagination when they watched this movie, they didn't imagination that there is a fish, there is an apple, there is a banana, there is a life happen, there is a taxi driver, they like get some money with their life. A lot of people like who's like watching the movie they don't know about Syria or about Aleppo anything. They said we think Aleppo just a war place, our area, our zone. A lot of scene. One of this is scene that we didn't use it. It's about the pants. Like when all of them they don't have enough money. They want to buy new classes. They don't have money. They decide like to collect what they have to buy one pants. They can share it in this is like their special event if they want to visit their somebody from their families like. So they go and we film them like when they go to the market and how we discuss about the price and how they collect their money, and then they buy like the pants, and then they go like to drink orange juice and banana juice, and then They back to there. They happy driving this is like ambulance in the mid of the mid of the city to go just to buy the pants and drinking a juice. It's a life. It's a meaning of this is life. A thousand of this is seen, not a thousand, like a lot of this is seen. We shot in the same way about how this is people drove us like to discover the life. Yes, and the decision was like a decision in the editing was very easy. Actually, it's not that much like a hard decision because everything hard is already done. But when you sit in the editing, it was very easy. Any editors, any filmmaker with this footage gonna do this story. It's done because all the beautiful stories and all this is common conversation about staying or leaving gonna do because not gonna make in different way. Maybe of course it's kind of back like for how you like to tell the story, voiceover, interviews. A lot of people they will prefer different things because they don't have about Syria information. They prefer like the informational film. But for me, I decide from the beginning that this story should be told as a story, not informational film again about Syria to say Syria next to Turkey, next to it's one of the. I mean, this is complicated information that to tell it over and over and over again. People need to listen to the story to get touch with you and to understand what's going on and what's make the people understand. First, this is character who is full on of the life, who's like they have their family responsible and the meaning of them, the families, and also next to that is a story, is a film, is there's like a something you can feel it happen. You can know Khalid. You feel like Khalid, like Roberto De Niro in the Wall Street, in the street, like driving a car and people that you know, you think yourself like you drink with them a coffee or you will saw them in the street in normal way. People like normal people, they don't have any in any side of this is evil side. People play football and they get angry from them each other, and then one of them like he broke the ball because he's like getting angry, upset from his friend because he's like he felt like his friend he do that in the mid of Machiavellian situation happen around you. People like they try to forget everything around them. I continue. That was the story, and all this is scene that should. I have like football scene, a 5 or 6 football scene. I have like the like this is life scene, like a bands or the fish scene or the planet scene. They have like or 4, 5 or 6 scene. I have a lot of footage like that. You can change the fish scene with the planet scene. You can fish the planet scene with a band scene. You can change it. The decision about your decision about that's what's make that what's make us understand Khalid character. So that make me decide like to choose this fish scene because it's about staying. It's about a fish who's decide to stay. If he get outside of his city, he gonna die. He prefer to die more than prefer to suffering from the death outside of his aquarium. Yeah.
I guess we want to tread carefully here because we don't want to ruin the film for anyone, but did the way that it ended, did that shape the story that you set out to tell when you were in the editing booth?
In terms of
actually, the end, it was shocked for me, and because he's my friend and he left a lot of things in my memory. So it was shocked for me, and I try like to just transfer the story, my feeling, as it is. I try it like to keep it. That's the end. It's something about I can't believe. Just like that. That was my goal in this end, and I was trying all the time to find a different side. I kept shooting about the story like months after that to find anything that make me to convince me more, because I didn't believe. It was my camera trying uh, to find what I didn't believe, to find that, so that I kept my camera searching about this meaning. And of course I find it, the sequence of the dream that you in the mid of the film that you saw it was like the last footage that shot in Aleppo. It was like in the mid of that, all the people, like all the international media, everybody like interesting that to shooting the people who is forced to leave their country, the Aleppo. I ask myself, this is like the question: what's my role as a filmmaker? What's my role as an artist? What's my role as a friend for this guy? What's this guy he want? What's his dream? And then I was searching about this is like a house remind us on all of these wars that happened in Berlin, in Rome. You feel like this house you find it in everywhere. And then we find a house completely it's like a house, but it's like there's like lamps of the hope is destroyed. And then we find the table, couch, and even the aquarium without fish, of course. I mean, we moved like the aquarium and the table, and we put the fish inside we buy a fish, and it was like a good deal for the fish. And who's have the last fish in Aleppo was we buy all the fish and put it in this aquarium, and then we shoot it. I shot it like because, of course, I mean, my friend who was like the cinematographer who shot this they are different from the cinematographer, but I used them like for one time. This is one of other cinematographer. I used them like one time just in all this is film to shoot this scene. They just like put the camera and shoot it, and shoot this scene, and in the really so different in very dangerous situation. But it was like when we talk to each other about that, how much we have like to make a scene as a protest against the death, as a memory, as a reminding in the life, and as a reminding in all the crime, as a reminding in staying, and all the soul that was like killed or forced to leave. And was like, this is the idea, and then we should we make this shot for the aquarium, and for the city that destroyed, and for the capital, the Aleppo house, like empty. Yeah.
Firas, you were saying before that in part you wanted people to be accountable for their actions. You know, you wanted to, as you were saying before, you wanted to point a finger and say, "Oh, I've filmed you. I've seen what's happening. That's now documented." Do you hope having that accountability? Do you hope that brings maybe lasting change to conflicts like this in the future? Is that I know you've mentioned you want people's memories to be honoured, and you want people to be remembered for what they did. But do you also hope that you will be able your film will be able to present lasting change moving forward when people see it?
Yeah, actually, yes. This is your awareness. Like, this is what you have. This is your basic as a filmmaker. When you make a film, you need to change. You need to do something to change the situation around you. And when I start to shoot this movie, I start because this is feeling of responsibility, and recording the crime that around me, like to show what's happened there, and how I can change, and how I can involve more the people, like in the change process. And because it's not gonna happen with just with the Syrian who live there. It's need like international solidarity from a lot of people, and a lot of educating for the people what's going on in Syria, because not a lot of people like they know, just like sitting in front of the television and there's like a clip for a couple of minutes and then it's done. And the story and they're done. They didn't saw on any kind of the life that behind that. So my impact in this movie, it's like how we can put a pressure on the politician to understand the situation in Syria. The people there need to stop this crazy war, because they every day, every hours, there is a more children will be killed. There is like a question about a lost generation. There is a question about the environment. There is a question about the climate change, because all this is where you saw that the smoke and all of this is this kind of the effective on everything in our environment. Not just like about not just about, it's about everything. The war is destroyed everything, climate, environment, human rights. It's everything. And there was like a need to show this aside. I try like to use also elements about the climate change in this, trying to use it, because it's like people, like some people, they don't care about everything about the human rights. They care about environment more. And to show them, people, they don't care about the human right, also they care about the animals' right. To show that the war kill everyone. They don't care. When the weapon fall down over the civilians area, they kill everyone. They destroyed everything. Houses, heritage, animals, people, everything. But also, of course, I mean, all of this is elements is part from how we can tell the story. Like the scene of the cat when Khalid walked and he was destroyed, it's reflect the situation of Khalid. It's like that in the drama, and if we're talking about the drama and the story, in the story, it was like a turning point of Khalid. For Khalid, it's reflect of all of this is endless situation from the war. It's like it's not a point no return for his life, that he saw the death of his children, and he saw like his a father. He's like fall down, and they said that God, this is tragedy. My son killed. And he just like he felt like that, and in that time Khalid sent me a message. He told me I couldn't stay anymore. I just saw my daughter in front of me, like in this moment. It's affect a lot about Khalid, and I tried like to show that the situation that Khalid was, it was destroyed completely. That the time the city was completely between 15 to 25 attack from the Russian and the Syrian regime over the civilians area. No one can handle that. And Khalid, that the guy who tried to handle everything. And it's make him like to disappear from his family. Months he couldn't see his daughter. He just like listening to their sound. On that day, his daughter asked him, where my medicine? The other daughter asked him how we can get the food. Because he's far from them, he couldn't back to his house. So yeah, so that about that moment in the life of this is characters in the city. It's about the responsibility of the character and my responsibility also about them. That make us like to be together in this story.
On a sort of a cheerier note, congratulations on your success at Sundance. That's a pretty spectacular gong to pick up. And do you think that's going to help you to reach a broader audience and maybe to help you to get your next film, I guess, made and gain a bit more traction?
Actually, look, I mean, Sundance is amazing festival for any filmmaker around the world. Dream like to win in Sundance, because like it's really support the filmmaker, and they like celebrate in the filmmakers, and all Sundance about the filmmakers telling the stories, and a lot of audience, of course, and a lot of interest and a big industry. I mean, almost big, one of the biggest film for independent filmmakers. So it's like, but I'm not sure that even if you won an Oscar, that you're gonna get your next movie if you don't have between your hands something to do. Maybe you can get somebody to send you that script, like a company, tell you, we're gonna make a film about this, and we need to tell this film in this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is your rules. It's gonna be not just filmmaker, it's gonna be like impolite to do the story that the people they want, and then you forget about, you try like to find yourself in this things. I'm not sure about that, but I'm already, I have my next movie. I was like, when we started shooting this movie, wasn't thinking about Sundance, wasn't thinking about all this success, almost now 18 awards for this film, from almost like picked up most of this is like good big festivals around, like the last festival, like we won 5 prizes in Poland in Docs Against the Graffiti, and just today we won like in Barcelona Best Director. So it's like almost everything. I mean, you picked up audience award many from many festivals, and you are most film that watched between tens or 5 films in the festival. That all the success for a good story, it's important. But we wasn't, when we start to tell the story, wasn't thinking about all of that. And even in the editing process, we wasn't thinking about all of that. Was my goal in the editing, in the shooting, in all this level, pre-production, production, and post-production. Even that, all my goals was like how I can tell the story about this father and this brother, and I was like use all this element of the crime that happened around them, what they saw, and my responsibility about that, and how we can make this from their voices, not my voice as a filmmaker. It's not about me, it's about them also. But also it's linked with me because I'm a Syrian, like them. It's my life. Almost this is people also like they rescue some relative, my family, and but I was like also I was very careful about my role as a filmmaker, how I can not just look to these people as a hero. Also, I need like to show that these people as a normal human. They have their mistake. They have like their success in their life, and this is like the good things in how you can tell the story through a good characters in that. And the important things from all this success is get more attention for the issue of the film, and every time that with every success, my messages from this festival is how we can use this film as a part from justice process, how we can use this film as a part from a human rights process, how we can help the families of the humanitarian worker, and this is the most important impact, how we can put pressure in the politician to do something to stop the crazy war in Syria, however, whatever, but of course with the justice should not accept it, that to keep the criminal in their position and keep killing the people, and they celebrate with the number of the crime that they do. It's a shame about the humanity if that's happened. How we can accept as all the human being, because Syria is not just for Syrian. Syria is about it's a part from all this world, like the climate change, like the climate change issue or social issue is apart from all of that. If there is a dictator in one of these countries, it's not the responsibility of the Syrian. It's a responsibility for everyone that this dictator should leave, because this is people need freedom, and if this is dictator keep there, a lot of people will be killed, a lot of people, a lot of life. Not just a dictatorship, any criminal, terrorist, criminal. It's not just like there's our responsibility. Just like go to fight ISIS. Next to ISIS, there is also like there is a dictatorships. There is like also other criminal that involved in this war. there is also international laws, like trying to fight the terrorists. They make mistakes, and this mistake is a crime.
That's all the questions that we had for you, Firas. Look, thank you so much for the chat. It's such an important film that you've put forward, and I know with the Sydney Film Festival coming up as well, certainly it's one that we'd recommend as many people to see as possible because, yeah, as mentioned, there's a lot to take away from what you've put together. So thanks for putting the film together, and thanks for the chat too.
Thank you so much for this amazing question, amazing chat, and I hopefully everyone listen to us to come to watching this movie, because also the act of coming to watch this movie of responsibility to understand and to be aware what's going on around us from the world, to understand why the refugees leave their countries, what's happened with them, how we can help, how we can be together, how we can take our roles as a human being. Also, there's opportunities to enjoy in the story.
Definitely.